I met Jerry when I first moved down last winter. Dressed in a dark coat, he was a tall American with a long white face that might have hung upside down in the daytime. On first impressions, he was anything between 40 and 50. The tight lines on his forehead and the receding hair above it could not be the flourishes of youth. Some men with the same affliction looked like babies, but Jerry appeared to be a born drinker. He was drinking whiskey and coke in a pub where continental lager was an extravagance. I drank beer. Seemed the right thing to ask for. No stranger myself to pubs or alcohol. I watched him double up on Johnny Walker Black Label as quickly as a smoker relinquishing his cigarette to the howling wind outside. Bars are one of life's choices. By a mixture of luck, judgment and need, we've both chosen the Zetland Arms over others in the village. He came for the view like I did. A window overlooking France, the looming white cliffs of Dover and the glowing lights of ships as bright as white teeth on the horizon, offering to us all the possibilities of travel, adventure and escape. Back inside, he ordered another as the landlord changed the bottle over and joked with some of his regulars how Jerry was keeping him afloat. Not much to do down here in the winter, I thought. The next weekend I saw him again. It had been just 7 days, but Jerry looked like he'd aged a whole year. He was still drying out from a lunchtime session that was meant to fix his head from the late night before. He'd played chess, he told me, with the landlord till gone 4. Played him loads of times, but never once beat him. I'll give you a game later, I said. Well, how he held down a job, I don't know, but he did. What was even stranger was that he worked with kids. He had a job as a private tutor somewhere in the village, a special case child where his skills and expertise had been called for, when, I imagine, by the look of him, all other avenues had failed. His methods and his aura had taken him across Europe. Mine had led nowhere near as far. He came from California, but Jerry didn't seem to hold it in his heart, and though he journeyed right across the rest of America, he appeared to wear it only on his sleeve. In the small seaside surroundings of Kingsdown, his accent gave him an edge of glamour. Mine marked me from London and told everyone I was just another weekender. He had arrived in the village only a few months before me, but already the landlord had made several trips by ferry to France to buy up crates of Black Label whiskey he couldn't find in the cash and carries of Kent. That was some service. But how could he watch Jerry drown it all in coke? There are all kinds of crazy rumours why Jerry was down here. Out of earshot, some said he'd been in jail for hitting a cop, or running up gambling debts with the mob. There was something missing from his past, something in his face that haunted him. But I realised no one knew him well enough to ask. The next time I saw him was Friday, in that precious time before the day got dark and the pub reopened from its afternoon slumber. Jerry was going to Calais the next morning on a day trip. He figured it was time he got out and saw the surroundings, bought his cigarettes and Johnny Walker cheap for a change. My wife says she's coming over to see me, or she's threatening to. He cradled his head in his hands as I thought about my own wife I'd left behind in London. She's 20 years older. Well, almost. I'm just worried what the people in here are going to think of me, you know, when they see her. Oh, shit, I don't know. Does that sound bad to you? It does sound bad, don't it? The biggest surprise was that Jerry was only 30. The news hit me like a punch from nowhere. And as I recovered, I realised I'd been talking to a much younger man than me, without ever suspecting he was hanging on the words of opinions of drinkers like me he hardly knew. It's going so well here for me, Tim. A writer could have written the next part. A whirlwind romance in Florida. I was just a kid, you know. Fading looks and rising health bills. TV on all day in a nondescript trailer filled with scratch cards, fag ash and cat food. I never did get to meet her. The next day, Jerry went to France on the ferry as planned. But on his return to Dover, he was turned back by immigration officials for having an out-of-date visa. For a few days he rang the pub from his mobile in Calais. The news was that he was sleeping rough until his embassy sorted out his papers. Then there were just emails saying that he'd sold his phone. That was 6 months ago and I never heard from him again. But I still think about Jerry's whereabouts on the late nights with the landlord, when I'm drinking what remains of his Johnny Black.